Hello, Professor, and everyone else who is watching. My name is Emma Rose, and today I'm going to be presenting to you all a new game assignment that I'm doing for my game design class about asymmetrical games. Let me introduce you to Will of the Forest. Now, basically, laying out the ground concept rules about explaining what the heck you're seeing before you. We have two different teams. We have the Wisps and we have the campers or players. The campers' goal is to get out via this exit as quickly as they can. The Wisps' goal is to capture half of the players that are playing, or well, the players and campers that are playing. In order to do so, they would have to be lucky with their card draws, which I will explain to what that means later, as well as their tokens. Now with these tokens, each team has their own specialized tokens. For the players, in order to get out quicker, they have this called Pick Up the Pace, which basically adds 3 movement to their speed. That is set via the cards, which I'll explain momentarily. And then for the Wisps, we have 2 different kinds of tokens. We have the Burn token, which allows the Wisps to draw another card from their deck. And then we have Quickened Flight, which there's only one of, which basically doubles their movement speed. You'll see why that's important later on. So explain the cards themselves. For the Wisps, we have 2 different kinds of cards. We have their event cards, which, as the card suggests, different events happen for the Wisps, and they would have to follow what is on the card, be it is a roll of dice or is it automatically that happens, or absolutely nothing, because some of these events are overpowered and I had to balance it somehow. Then we have the player deck, which has 3 different things happening to it. First, like the Wisps, they have special events that happen to them via a roll of the die or just something that happens. We have loot cards, which can give a significant edge to the players, but the players can't move that turn. And then we have movement cards, which have the players move a set amount of turns, not turns, spaces, depending on what the number is, which can also then be boosted via Pick Up the Pace, either for that or when they get a loot card so they can just move 3. Now, you may notice that for the Wisps, there is no such thing as a movement card, because the Wisps always move 3 paces ahead. However, I noticed via playtesting that for some reason, the 3 movement speed sometimes adds the adverse effect of creating a very quick game, because players are not lucky with their card draws and thus they can't move, and the Wisps automatically get them and it's game over. So for a sort of easy mode that you can also do, you can have the Wisps only move 2, so that this, instead of doubling their speed to 6, only doubles their speed to 4. Of which even then the tokens can only be used after their first turn, so yeah. Now onto the game itself. Basically, there are 2 different spots that happen. There is the Wisps, who start here at the lantern, and then we have the players who start here at the campfire. Now, I'm only going to be showing you the first round, seeing as I'm already at 4 minutes and I don't want this to become very, very long. So in order to determine the turn order for the players, because the Wisps always move last, the players roll the die, see who has the higher roll, and then from there they move. So let's say this player rolled the 5 and this one rolled the 2. This player moves first, they draw a card, and they move ahead 7 spaces. So we will go 1, 2, 5, 6, 7 onto this little stepping stone. Then the second player goes and they move 8 spaces, which is the highest number you can get in this game, with the lowest being 1. So then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 onto that stepping stone. And then it is the Wisp's turn, where they will draw a card, and oh, event 1 happens. A gale storm rains throughout the trees. The Wisp then roll the dice. If even, it will choose a player to skip their turn from fright, or if they move ahead a single space, which adds on to their already movement 3. And so they rolled an even, so they get to choose a player to not have their turn, and thus they move ahead 3. So this sort of thing keeps on going forward and forward until each of the players either escape or the Wisps captures half the players. Now, like I said previously through playtesting this sort of game, I've noticed a few things, albeit with the increased movement speed of the Wisp. I've had like several games where the Wisp like immediately catches up to the players because they are very bad in their draws. Either they drawing event cards which have them move back spaces, which immediately catch them up to the Wisp, or they get several sort of loot cards in a row and they can't move. So again, you can have the Wisp move 2 spaces instead to make it a sort of easier and more thrilling game. As well as previously, there was 2 of these quicken flight tokens. But because again, quicken flight becomes such an overpowered token, I limited it down to 1 instead of 2. Because again, having 6 spaces of movement automatically given to you can become very overpowered very quickly when you are very close. Though countering that with loot cards, with also different kinds, like a dream catcher that allows you, instead of to draw a card, you draw 3 and then you choose the one that you want. But even then with Wisps, they can get rid of the loot as well. So this is my game, and if you want, I will put links to more tangible rules like I did for the last one in the comments and in the description. And I hope you all enjoy Will of the Forest. Take care.